My name is Ethan Talamantes.
Hi, I'm Abraham.
I'm Stanley.
Hi, I'm Steve. We're the founders of Simple Seed Farms. Please enjoy our video.
Ebb and Flow Irrigation, also called flood and drain irrigation. It just means you take a tub like this flood table and you flood it and then you drain it. This can get complicated when you are trying to expand using vertical space in addition to your horizontal space. Typically, your goal is to flood the tub enough, then drain it completely. The water height is determined by the flood rate and the drain rate. Ready to do some math? Psych. No math here. This video is primarily for indoor farmers who want to go pro and process salad greens like microgreens or spring mix. Here is that low-rise flood table again. They are normally 2 feet by 4 feet and about 4 to 6 inches tall. A flood table like this can hold about 4 of these 10-20 style trays, usually used to grow microgreens or propagate seed starts. Many indoor growers are using 6-tier shelves to grow these plants because you can put lights above the plants. You can fit 5 flood tables on this shelf, so we're going to use this as the foundation for our irrigation designs. This video is going to be boring unless you are a nerd. Use the scroll bar below to skip around. The bell siphon designs are the best. Hand-operated valves.
In a flood table, start by cutting out 2 holes for bulkhead fittings using a circle cutting bit. 1 fitting will be for inflow and 1 fitting will be for outflow. Stack this flood table onto your 6-tier shelf. Get ready to repeat this for the next 4 flood tables. Alrighty, the next step is to begin attaching tubing to each bulkhead fitting so we can begin to route our system. Use your tube cutters like scissors to snip off chunks of this black poly tubing, and the tubing should slide into each fitting easily. You're going to want to cut pieces of tube long enough to route your outflow together and route your inflow together. This will all depend on the specific shelf you're using. Repeat for all of these bulkheads. Insert an elbow into each one of the tube fittings, and then we're going to continue adding pieces of tubing until the next joint is required for assembly. We're going to fast forward a little here for your convenience, but if you slow down the video, maybe there will be a secret code. Yep, in this little message, here's the discount code for 1 free bell siphon. The code is SLOW100. Enter it for 100% discount code on a single bell siphon in our shop. It will only apply to a single bell siphon though, so try to hard game this. Please don't take advantage of us. You have no lives. 1 bell siphon is very fair though. Insert a ball valve into each of the tube fittings for flow regulation. And then we're going to continue adding pieces of tubing. This time finishing the inflow first for no particular reason. Okay, so here's that discount code for 1 free bell siphon. It is SLOW100. Enter it in the discount square shop. I don't know if I can find enough space. I gotta do this 5 times on this video. After this point, all of the inflow lines will be teed together so that the way they can all route from the same place, which is the pump in the reservoir. This way, water flow comes from the same place, pressurizing the lines leading to each flood table and thus the plants. Here's again, that discount for 1 free bell siphon is SLOW100. Enter it into the discount shop for a free bell siphon. If you use the discount code, we will find you. Or maybe we won't. And you get a second free bell siphon. We'll see. Okay, the inflow is done. Now let's complete the outflow using the same tubing and schema. All of the outflow will be teed together too, so that all of the drain water goes back to the source from whence it came, the reservoir. Maintenance requires a water change and a sanitation of all surfaces. Once in a while, you're going to want to brush through the pipes as biofilm can accumulate quickly. The outflow is done. This system is now ready for tuning.
To run this system, you'll need to turn on your pump and then manually open and manually close the inflow valve to flood the flood table. To drain the flood table, manually open the outflow valve until the flood table is drained. Then manually close the outflow valve. And then you do it all again for every additional level. Man, this is slow. Each one of these cycles takes between 2 to 5 minutes per level. So this is super slow. You could try to use a significantly stronger pump and attempt to pump all 5 levels at the same time, but that'd be a tuning challenge. My goodness, that's slow. There are turnkey systems that function that way, But if you want something that's going to work without having to tune it all the time, this is not the design for you. And plus, you have to keep adjusting the valves manually with your hands. So much work. This design is slow and a lot of work.
Assembling an electronically operated flood and drain shelf. This is going to be exactly like the hand-operated flood and drain shelf, except using electronic valves called solenoid valves. Of all the designs shown in this video, this design is both the most fancy and the most expensive. If you are the most fancy and the most expensive type, this design is definitely for you. But this design isn't any more practical or functional than the other designs shown in this video. This design does feel cool because you get to control everything, but only if your wallet feels cool spending money on a whole bunch of spinning wheels and unnecessary switch command management. Maintenance requires a water change and a sanitation of all surfaces. Once in a while, you're going to want to brush through the pipes, as biofilm can accumulate quickly. Here's the fun part. If you are a maker or know some basic coding, you can play around with control timing, but for practical farmers looking for real scale, we might want to save that for the macro scale controls.
Assembling a bell siphon assisted flood and drain shelf. This assembly is by far the most affordable in both total cost and time of assembly and ease of operation. It needs about half of the bulkheads required, and because of the way water is routed through the system, you can save money by using a pump that's a few $100s cheaper per system. The amount of tubing you need to run the system is also way less, about 70% less in tubing and joints. Instead of worrying about which irrigation line goes to what place in the flow map, the outflow from one level simply becomes the inflow to the level beneath it, and so on and so forth, until it makes it back into the reservoir. It's so much simpler if you're going to grow crops that require the same water contents. Even if your shelf isn't completely filled with plants, the water flow through simply goes back to your reservoir tote. Like the other systems, all you have to do to maintain this system is change your water regularly and sanitize all the surfaces regularly. This includes rinsing out the inside of the removable bell siphons. It's really quick with a shelf like this because there's so little tubing, and pump changes are way cheaper.
This is it right here. This is the one. Yes, 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 yes. It's too easy with bell siphons. You don't have to do anything except for pump water into the top level. And then it floods the next level down to the proper water height and then also begins to drain down. So easy and so affordable. I love bell siphons. This next design is for the professionals. This is a design that is both advanced and simultaneously simple. Route your inflow using a solenoid valve that is pressurized by your pump. Route your outflow underneath into a drain catch system. If you want assistance with a drain catch system, leave a comment below. You'll need a control panel or a timer box of some type. We like installing these at chest height and routing the power above the shelf. This shelf is now ready for testing. Oh boy, I'm ready to watch this shelf go. Your pump will pressurize the inflow water line until the solenoid valve turns on and discharges that into the first flood table. With bell siphons, it's just so elegant. And now the water goes right back to the reservoir. The inflow will stop once you turn off the solenoid valve. Now I bet you're wondering, is this design scalable? Yes, 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 yes! This is probably the most scalable design. Build your whole farm this way.
How to patch a turnkey system. Here's the average turnkey system experience. Alright, everything's set up. All I need to do is tune this and we are ready for our maiden voyage. Automated irrigation, here we come. Alright, well, that didn't work. 15 minutes ain't so bad. I bet this will work this time. Alright, ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. Well, that didn't work. All right, so opened all the valves, but didn't open them all the way up enough. You know, maybe if I open up every single valve all the way, this will work. Whew. Well, that didn't work. It's been 45 minutes. That didn't work. I just want to be done with this. I might as well hand water. Ugh. I have to do this every time I close a level. I can't stand tuning. Let's modify.
If you have a turnkey propagation system that doesn't already have bell siphons, you can do a patch amendment with bell siphons to simplify tuning your grow shelf. All you gotta do is pull off some of this tubing. You can save these irrigation components for another build. Then, replace a few of these parts, including this T, and replacing these drain risers. Now, place in your bell siphons. Close every inflow valve except for the top, where you open it all the way. And you're ready to go. No more tuning required, and you can probably use a significantly more affordable pump to power your irrigation now. Don't forget to rinse the inside of your siphons in between farm services.